Elizabeth Taylor was no stranger to a scandal, but her next love affair would shock Hollywood to its core. Hours after Debbie Reynolds divorced from Eddie Fisher, Taylor walked down the aisle with him, her best friend's husband. But that's just the beginning of his unbelievable story. Taylor's love life was always in the spotlight, but the media frenzy surrounding her relationship with Fisher was nothing short of legendary. Best friends torn apart, Hollywood scandalized, and betrayal so deep it would make headlines for years. But the greatest love and heartbreak of Taylor's life was still to come. Stay with us to uncover the ultimate tragic romance. Mere hours after Eddie Fisher divorced America's sweetheart Debbie Reynolds, Taylor shocked the world by marrying him. But the most jaw-dropping part of the affair, Taylor and Reynolds had been the closest of friends. The fallout was legendary, echoing far beyond the Hollywood boundaries. The media had a field day and the world couldn't get enough of the betrayal. During one of Taylor and Fisher's secret trysts, Reynolds, still reeling from the betrayal, called her old friend. Instead of Taylor picking up, it was Eddie Fisher. Reynolds' sharp response, "Roll over, darling, and let me talk to Elizabeth." The bitterness and heartbreak between the former best friends became tabloid fodders for months. After the massive scandal and a string of exhausting films, Taylor contemplated retiring. But MGM had other plans. After a bitter contract dispute, they forced her into Butterfield 8, a role she hated. The drama of set was just as heated as on screen. In a shocking moment of rebellion, Taylor refused to speak to the director for the entire shoot. In 1961, Taylor landed her most iconic role in Katra. She became the highest-paid actress of the time. But the real cost came behind the scenes. The Egyptian government nearly banned her from the country due to her conversion to Judaism after Mike Todd's death. And during filming, Taylor almost died from pneumonia. She was rushed into an emergency tracheotomy. Her condition so dire that several news agencies mistakenly reported her death. But Cleopatra brought more than money and illness. It sparked an even greater scandal. Elizabeth Taylor met Richard Burton on the infamous set of Cleopatra, a film so over budget it nearly bankrupted the 20th Century Fox. Yet the real cost was the personal fallout. Taylor and Burton were already married to other people when their torrid affair ignited a media firestorm. When photos of the two getting close on a beach surfaced, the public was outraged. The Vatican condemned them for erotic vagrancy, but their passion couldn't be stopped. Taylor eventually left Eddie Fisher for Burton, but not without leaving behind chaos. She managed to repair her friendship with Debbie Reynolds, the woman she had once betrayed. But her bond with Fisher was shattered forever. They never spoke again. Burton's love for Taylor was as extravagant as it was intense. He gifted her a 16.9-carat diamond, the largest in the world at the time, insured for $1 million. Taylor was only allowed to wear it 30 days a year, but even the diamond couldn't hold their marriage together. After years of tumultuous love, they divorced, only to marry again. Yet, despite their second attempt, they split for good in 1976. Elizabeth always referred to Richard as the last great love of her life. After their final separation, Taylor lamented that all the men who followed were merely there to hold the coat, a far cry from the fiery passion she shared with Burton. When Burton passed away, Taylor received his final love letter. It was the only one she kept by her side for the rest of her life. In it, Burton confessed that home was wherever Elizabeth was, and he wanted to come home. She vowed that when her time came, she would be buried with that letter. After Burton's death, Elizabeth was left heartbroken. She would walk down the aisle 3 more times, but the men who followed were mere shadows compared to Burton. Her seventh marriage to politician John Warner crumbled under the weight of addiction and loneliness. Taylor, always in search of love, married again, this time to construction worker 20 years her junior. It didn't last, yet even in her 60s, Elizabeth's hunger for romance burned bright. In her later years, Taylor faced a relentless battle with severe health issues. She struggled not only with addiction and diabetes, but also endured over 40 surgeries, including multiple hip replacements, a hysterectomy, and treatment for skin cancer, heart failure, and even a brain tumor. Hospitalized more than 100 times, Taylor's health forced her to retire from acting. But she didn't surrender easily. In a heartbreaking interview with Barbara Walters, Taylor revealed that while she longed to continue appearing in films, no studio would insure her, leaving her no choice but to step away from the spotlight. When Elizabeth passed away in 2011, many wondered if she would be laid to rest beside her beloved Richard. But his widow, Sally Hay, had other plans, buying the surrounding plots and making sure Taylor wouldn't be buried near him. As one last mark of defiance, Taylor ensured she would make an unforgettable exit. Her coffin arrived 15 minutes late to her own funeral, a final dramatic gesture. Even in death, Elizabeth Taylor made sure she would be remembered in true diva fashion. And so Elizabeth Taylor's dramatic journey comes to an end here. But there is one more chapter you won't want to miss. Her heartbreaking bond with James Dean holds a secret that forever tied their fates together. Watch Dean's biography next to uncover their tragic connection.